photography. There was an opportunity to give any written comments to the city about the program. Nobody did so. Through the program, there were no persons who were displaced from their homes by this program. No businesses were displaced from their business premises by this program. If there is any public comment, now would be the opportunity to make that public comment, but otherwise those are the purposes of the public hearing and what needed to be reported by this hearing.
Thank you, Richard. Once again, is there anyone who wishes to comment on the Downstate Stabilization Grant Program? If there is, please indicate such at this time. Seeing none, I will close out the public hearing, and we'll wait another 5 minutes and get underway with our City Council meeting. Thank you.
There's no car.
This was just renewals. You got one too.
Did you check the income tax?
I'm thinking I'm gonna have to start carrying a briefcase. Stuff like that every night.
Like a 7?
We seem close to together, they moved all them people. Carl comes here when he wants money, don't he? I'll tell you what. Humper not the
Piece that she gave me that said that I had to walk on.
water up on everything. You see how much?
I don't think, did I get one of those? I don't.
Quite a few of them.
Get everything. Oh, yeah, I did, right here.
Well, he gets tickets to the fish fry.
Well, serving the president,
Everyone has been more. Do you know what was
Kind of
Yeah. How about this?
They sell barbecue, they sell all that.
I haven't seen it.
I never did.
I used to get in.
That's a yeah. But then he said we're gonna catch up.
Sir? How you doing, Don? Decided to show up. Good. Appreciate it. We need everybody we can get.
that away.
Yeah, that over there, that
Eat that.
goes over there. That over there, all the way.
Just be careful. I think there's the edge on these, between these tables. Let me scooch that
yeah,
up just a hair.
Okay.
I didn't realize that till you said that. It's like, wait a minute.
Do they have anybody here from the Ministerial Alliance, as far as you know?
Supposed to be Dean Akins was on the list.
I haven't seen anybody, Mayor.
Okay, I'll just call on you, Barb.
That's fine.
Known as incident.
You don't see anybody from Ministerial Alliance, do you? They usually are pretty good about sending somebody, but they don't always make it.
Well, I don't see him. Oh, yeah, I see him. Oh, Hughes got his backs to me, or I didn't realize it was him, yes.
You ain't talking about a preacher, are you?
Oh, no, we were talking about Harold. No, Harold. And yes, he's sitting on the other side, so.
Okay, it is a little bit after 6 p.m. here on Tuesday, June the 8th, and we'll call to order this regular meeting of the Murfreesboro City Council. And as is our usual process, I'd like that we would all rise, and we're going to have Ms. Hughes lead us in an invocation, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
If you bow your heads with me. Gracious and loving God, as we gather here tonight, each according to our own faiths, guide us through the processes that we face. Guide us through the decisions. We ask that you give us the knowledge and wisdom on how to best serve this community, and may our decisions be pleasing to you. Thank you for your never-ending presence and guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ms. Hughes.
Thank you.
Clerk Hunziker, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Hughes.
Here.
Alderman Curry-Witzman. Alderman Brown. Alderman Gladden.
Here.
Alderman McComb.
Here.
Alderman Urbis.
Here.
Alderman Austin.
Here.
Alderman Bastian.
Here.
Alderman Campos.
Here.
Alderman Pittman.
Here.
Mayor Stevens.
Here. And just say a prayer for Alderman Brown. He called me earlier today and said he was not feeling well, and so we hope that he has a speedy recovery and gets back at our next meeting. Our first item of business here on the agenda tonight is one that we've looked forward to. It is the promotion of Jim Murphy, Charlie Nance, Adam Torrance, and Michael Dosh to fire captain. As we have members of our community and our law enforcement and fire protection that step forward into leadership roles, we want to take these steps to make sure that those are made official. And so I would like to ask Chief McBride if he would come forward and share a few words with us. And as he does that, I'm going to come around and join him momentarily so that we can administer these oaths to these various gentlemen.
Thank you. This culminates about a 4-month process that these guys have went through. There were 8 firefighters that were eligible to test for the captain's position. 6 of them opted to go through the process. Different parts of the process, they have to be, number one, they have to be, have been here long enough to test and have certain certifications as like advanced technician, fire firefighter or firefighter 3. The parts of the testing are the award of chief's points, which is an evaluation by myself, and then there's their longevity or their seniority with the department. Then a peer review scored by their peers, the people that they actually work with. They interview with the police and fire board, and then finally there is a comprehensive written exam that's given. They're given 90 days and study material for that. It's pretty intense. So there's been a lot of stress for these guys, a lot of studying. I've witnessed it. They were in the books a lot. So the list was established, and we go right down the list per state law, and these are the top 4 candidates. So with no further ado, I'll call the 4 up: Jim Murphy, Charlie Nance, Adam Torrance, and Michael Dosh. And turn it over to Michael.
Thank you very much, Chief. I know we have members of family for these various gentlemen who are going to be, who are with us this evening. So I'm going to administer these oaths. Chief, do you want me to do these one at a time?
All 4 together.
Do all 4 together. Okay, all right, well, we'll definitely do that. So if anybody wants to get a photo, they are welcome to come up here closer or wherever they wish to do so, so that they can make that happen. And so, gentlemen, if you would, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois, the ordinances of the city of Murfreesboro, the rules and regulations of the Murfreesboro Fire Department, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Fire Captain according to the best of my ability. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Okay, our parents will come up. We have a couple of wives and a couple of daughters that are going to pin their badges on. If you guys will remove your firefighter badges.
Up to your firefighter.
Sticky hard.
A lot of tradition in the firehouse, and one is firehouse. We've got a family in the firehouse, and we've got a family at home. This is where the 2 meet. And now each of them receive a new helmet. Red is designated on the fire ground for captains. We all kind of wear the same color gear, and our air packs cover our name on the back. So we have identification on our head so that we can tell who everybody is, and I'll present their new helmet with their captain shields.
very much, Chief. All right, we're going to go ahead and move into the rest of our agenda for this evening's meeting. Up first, we have the consideration of council minutes from May the 25th, 2021. And I'd entertain any questions or amendments to the minutes. Of course, we have both the public hearing and the council meeting. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I hear a motion from, I believe, Mr. McComb and a second from Mr. Austin. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Up next, we have the consideration of accounts payable, accounts receivable, and payroll registers. Entertain any questions in regard to those at this time. I see Ms. Hughes first.
Okay, we only have one, it's 184, and this is more of a statement or question, not regarding the amount, but the actual part of this. On page
And Barb,
8,
could you drag your mic up close
I'm
just so we
sorry.
make sure everybody can
On
hear?
page 8 at the top, Mr. McAnally has been doing the COVID sanitation now for a year. I would suspect that after Friday that could be stopped, but we may need to notify him about that. We'll probably have one more of them because this is for May, I guess. We'll probably have all of June, perhaps, but then maybe that could be stopped after that.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed that same thing. I think that the police chief and our fire chief, maybe one or both, have said that they might like to see the council chambers cleaned well before, or we move back in there for our first meeting back at the council chambers. But I agree.
Okay.
I think we need to draw that to a close.
Okay, thank you. The other thing that I have is on page 13. It's just a question. We had a repair at Public Works from that Voss Heating and Air Conditioning did. I guess my question is, have they been keeping on their fall and spring schedule? Have we had the spring overall yet? Because that was part of the problem.
I think it was done today.
Oh,
Was that what they were doing today?
Done today. I don't know about the other one.
They were at the sewer plant. They were at the sewer plant today? Yeah. Okay.
okay, so, just a little past spring, but the good news is they're keeping on better schedule, it sounds like.
Better than before, yeah.
Yes, and I believe that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Gladden?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, on page 3, the payment schedule for Carl Clover. At the last meeting, I voted to pay him because I wasn't really familiar with the contract. And since I have had time to look over the contract that he has signed, it's a 2-year contract, 2 12-month periods of time. It appears as though he's asking to be paid only for his mowing, because if you divide 42 by the 21 mowings that he's required to do, that's $2,000 apiece. His contract is for a year, and it's for more than mowing, and it's for all the maintenance work that's required to keep the cemeteries in pristine order. So the actual amount that he's due is $3,500 a month, and therefore I cannot see us paying him this $6,500 when he's only due, I guess, $7,000.
Well, Sandra, you and I talked about that in your office the other day and tried to discuss what we thought would be abiding by the contract, I believe. And so could you help refresh my memory on that back and forth that we had? Because my memory is hazier than it should be.
Right, so the contract that we have now is by month. He's paid by month, which is the $3,500, which he's been paid once for his April mowings. Previous contract that Mr. Clover resigned from was per April mowing, which is what he's wanting to be paid now. So we either need to change the contract or just pay him as the contract reads now.
And we determined the $6,500 based upon the contract that the council, as I read the room, was wanting to see him paid.
Right, the 10,000 and the mowings that he's occurred so far, less the $3,500 that he was paid for in April.
Okay. So, it just gets more convoluted. I probably just made it more muddier than it was before with that back and forth. But we're going to have further conversation about it. And when we go to pay the bills, if, the council wants to vote to hold that one, we certainly can.
I think what the problem is, misspoke. I think the issue is, what is the definition of what he should be paid? And he has determined that he should be paid 1/21st of the contract per mow, and the contract is for 12 months, not for the mowing
Right.
season.
And of course, whenever we had brought this and talked this around at the council last time, we were within a breath of making a motion, it seemed, and approving the payment schedule that Mr. Clover had suggested. And so I sometimes tried to think to myself, okay, well, what was the intention of the council? And that's what the only reason we didn't make that motion was because we hadn't had it on the agenda. So I don't know. You are right that the contract, as it is now, would be to pay him the way you suggest. That's right.
Yes. It's just his definition of what he's due and what the contract says he's due differs.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions on the bills?
I do.
I'm not recognizing you at the moment, sir. Thank you. Mr. Urbis.
Yes, Mayor, on the bottom, last items on page 6, it says general fund, and, excuse me, public works. I just don't recall paying these before. I don't know what they are. The franchise
It's on there every
The franchise agreement?
agreement and the rent public works. Just refresh my memory what those are.
Ms. Ripley?
They're every month.
Mr. Evans?
So those date back to a time when the Murphysboro Water Works was not part of the city, when that was. But so when that was incorporated into the city council and city property, they decided that the water fund needed to pay rent and various other agreement fees to the city in exchange for office space and all the things that the city provided. So those have been there way before I got involved.
Every month since I've been there.
Yeah. And I don't think they've even changed much at all. But I guess it recognizes the fact that if the water fund or the water system had to get space anywhere else, they would have to pay rent to somebody or pay debt service for a mortgage or something like that. So in this case, it's just to the general fund, because the general fund is technically who owns the assets for the solemn building and various other things that service the water system.
So,
Is that clear?
No. So this is a payment, this appears to be a payment from the general fund, but it's actually into the
No,
general
it's to
fund?
the
General
general.
fund is the payee. And so that's paid out of, Okay. if you look at the Okay. account numbers, Gotcha. that's charged to 51-01 and 50-, those are water sewer codes, and it's coming out of water sewer. So one hand's paying the other, basically. Yes. I mean- If we did it all in one big fund, we wouldn't have to do this. Right, right. No, I get it. Thank you.
Any other questions on the bills? Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Mr. McComb?
Yeah. Are we going to pay the bills and hold the $6,500?
Well, I'm not sure. Who made the motion to pay the bills? Was
I
that you,
did.
WJ? No?
No, Barb.
I did.
Barb? What, when
I
it
would
comes
make a
to...
motion that we pay Mr. Clover and not have further discussion with it.
All right. So that's the motion,
No, to pay him.
to pay it as presented, the
The
$6,500.
$6,500.
Is there a second?
May die for a second, so that's...
Second.
All right, there's a second from Mr. Urbis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Ask for a roll call vote.
Alderman Hughes.
Yes.
Alderman Gladded.
No.
Alderman McComb.
No.
Alderman Urbis.
Yes.
Alderman Austin.
Yes.
Alderman Bastian.
Yes.
Alderman Campos.
Yes.
Alderman Pittman.
No.
It was a...
No.
No, WJ, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Motion carries.
All right. That takes us into the committee and commission reports, chaired by W.J. Pittman. W.J.?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no items under old business. Under new business, we have presentation of financial reports by Scott Evans. Scott?
Thank you, WJ. Okay, so what I have tonight are some of the usual reports. So just filed for presses tonight, I didn't get these ready on Friday. But page 1 is what I usually lead with, it's the sales tax and home rule tax report. And as you can see, this month's allotment was $359,537. Which by my recollection is probably the highest single amount that we've ever received, the close second being back in March. So this represents the March sales. So as you can see, that continues to be a really strong number. People are spending someplace, you just can't quite pinpoint where, but it's working for us. So we should be able to, unless something really drops off the next 3 or 4 months, let's say, we should be able to match what we received in sales tax last year and probably exceed that, but I don't want to speculate on that just yet. But anyway, the next page is the income tax receipts, and I kind of thought the number would be higher again in June because if you remember me saying that the extended deadline would mean that, some payments were late in coming in. So as you can see, the June payments we just got, $117,000, would represent some payments that the Department of Revenue received from April 15th to May 17th. So that's also a really special. Unless something really changes there, we should exceed last year's number too, I think, at this point. In a month or two, we feel more comfortable about saying that. But anyway, both in a very good direction. So on our snapshot of the operating expenses for general fund versus budget for 5 months. So through 5 months, we have spent $2,162,000 change in the general fund. And in the same period, we have budgeted $2,306,000 or $143,000 under budget expenses, which is a good thing, obviously. And the only 2 departments that at this point had exceeded budget are due to a couple of anomalies that are easily explained. The street department is over $30,000, not because Darren did anything at all. It's because, if you remember, we agreed to have Sam on to put the experimental pavement type stuff on Venture Lane.
at $247,000, and that was charged to the line under the street department. The same line that we also charged the original gravel purchase to a couple years ago when we built the road. So that $47,000 is going to throw him over budget, so nothing there good at all. And then the insurance is over budget. That's not health insurance, that's liability and or property casualty. And I wasn't sure why that was over, so I spoke to Leslie today. And it appears to be an odd way that we get billed for that. It's kind of weighted heavy on the front end of the year and almost nothing on the back end of the year. I've never seen it billed quite like that, but she looked at last year and that's exactly what they did, and they're following the same pattern. So I think you're going to see by the end of the year that we should be right on the money with the budget in that line. So it's just a temporary timing thing. On the revenue side, we have brought in $2,833,000, which is about $500,000 above budget. And again, remember that $300,000 of that is that special grant we got, the CARES grant or CURES grant, whatever it was called, that the state passed out to municipalities based on their COVID costs, which really seemed very generous because they gave us quite a bit of money on that deal. But anyway, that's in there too, which is something we didn't know about at present time. So that's, but even without that, we'd still be above budget in our revenue. So that's a good thing. The last thing just simply is the salaries, which are, of course, are a major component of our budget. So citywide across all the departments, including water sewer, for the month, we spent $273,000 in May on salaries, and we budgeted about just under $301. And year to date, we're still under budget, which is a strong reason why our overall spending is under budget. We budgeted $1.5 million through 5 months, and we spent $1.4 million. So we're about $77,000 under budget. And that is including some of the retroactive pay increases that were paid out in April and May because of the contract renegotiation. So we anticipated some of those things. We added the budget for that. I think we're doing just fine because of that. So a good place to be in too as well. That's all the reports I have. Any questions on those?
Scott, I had one question. The payment we made for the on Shoemaker Drive, that wasn't out of the general fund, that was out of the water fund?
That was water sewer, yes. Basically it was charged to repairs or infrastructure line, whichever it was. And that certainly wasn't anticipated to have that large of a bill. So that, again, that's going to be a detrimental thing to the profitability of the water fund.
Thank you, Scott. That's the only item under new business. Is there any public comment under budget and finance? Hearing none, we can move out of budget and finance.
Thank you, WJ. Under building and grounds, we have not assigned a chair there at this moment, so I'll handle these items. Under old business, we have consideration of cemetery maintenance contract. Obviously, we've had a lot of discussion about this lately. I'm just going to get to the bottom line up front. I would like a motion this evening to terminate the contract with Clover mowing and enforce our 30-day notice to end that relationship. And I would like the authority as mayor to solicit people to mow the cemetery over the next month so that I can find somebody who is able to mow the cemetery. The way that I look at it, we had a contract with Mr. Clover, continue to have one with him, that paid out approximately $42,000 a year. When you divide that by 52 weeks, It's $807 a week. There are 29 weeks left in this year. That comes to, when you multiply the $807 times the 29 weeks, about $23,000 that we would have left to spend over the course of this year. We haven't been able to get a lot of bids from folks, or at least consistently folks that will do the work at that price. So if we could, set, say, not to exceed $30,000 for the remainder of the year to mow the cemetery and do the maintenance, I think there are some people who have reached out to me who would do it for in that price range, and then we could be able to use, the rest of the year, hopefully, to get this contract reworked so that we can enter into some kind of new agreement in the year to come. That's an awful long speech, but I'll take any feedback anybody has on it. Ms. Hughes.
I definitely think that the contract needs to be reworked. I think there's a lot of questionable things on it that could be more clear for anybody that might want to take care of the cemeteries. I think that probably at this point it would be good for us to enact our 30-day notice.
Other comments?
Personal opinion.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes.
I would like to make the motion.
I would second it.
Thank you.
All
Unless
right.
somebody has other things.
Anybody else? All right, we have a motion and a second to enact our 30-day notice to terminate the contract with our current cemetery maintenance provider. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. That was your motion, Ms. Hughes. I assume I maybe
Yes. That is correct, sir.
Does the council have any issue with me over the next 30 days with those dollar amounts that I spoke of? Okay. Well, I will proceed with that and see what I can get done, because obviously it has to be mowed, and it's not something we can really wait on in a growing season.
I just have one question. Are you generally just talking about mowing strictly?
Well, I'm talking about the current contract, which would be mowing and maintenance for the time being. I think we need to have a discussion about whether or not going forward at some time in the future we don't have our Public Works Department do the maintenance, and then just whoever has the contract strictly does mowing. I think that may be a better arrangement, but I haven't given our foreman of Public Works the opportunity to really give me good feedback on that yet, and I don't want to assume too much. So, Mr. Austin.
Are you considering splitting the contracts?
I am considering splitting the contracts also, and I've got, you had suggested that. I think it's when you say splitting contracts, you mean bidding out Tower Grove separately from City Cemetery.
Correct.
And I think that we maybe could solicit more interest that way, breaking up jobs up.
I also think there should be consideration of splitting maintenance from mowing, Mayor. You may get more interest that way also.
Right. So, but I'll make this a focal point of my energy and attention over the next month, and we will get it worked out. Any other questions? Ms. Ripley.
Just for clarification, over the next 30 days, will Mr. Clover be paid per mowing as we've kind of changed it?
I don't know how to answer that question, frankly. I mean, we just made a motion that was a motion to pay him as you suggest, correct? When we adopted the bills?
Yes.
And so even though that was a split council on that motion, then I'll have to use that as an expression of how we're going to pay him for the remainder of the time. Okay. All right. Mr. Clover, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yes, I do. Has anybody looked at the cemetery lately?
I was there today.
Anybody looked before the holiday?
I was there on the holiday and someone was mowing, Mr. Clover. I found that a little, I found that, and I'm taking flowers to my mother-in-law and father-in-law's grave on a memorial holiday. I think it's really disrespectful to mow on that day. And I'm sorry, but you need to know that.
I thought we were doing the right thing in one, because it was far.
I'm not trying to be mean. I just found it disrespectful myself.
Sorry, I thought we were doing the right thing. The week before, we hauled 25 of those dirt from a lot of the low places, and some of the grades we can step on them. Like you mentioned that, today, it was raining hard out here this evening. And maybe your city employees should come and look at this, halfway out in that lower field. There was water like this coming up out of the ground, it was running off the hill through the drain right down through all the grades, all the drainers, all the water. So if you're gonna get somebody to maintain it, these people need to know what they're getting into before. Like that, you know? Because you can't plug a hole with water going through all the time. And I don't understand your figures on the payment as well. Where did you come up with $6,500?
If you want to run for city council and share your thoughts in a way that I'll enact them, or you've canceled the contract, I hope that you will consider continuing to do what you've been doing for the next 30 days. Otherwise, I don't have any other feedback. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
We've changed nothing about our work. Somebody needs to look at that water.
That is definitely noted, and I will make sure that we have a member of our city employees go out and take a look at it. Mr. Mills, would you please make a note of that and see if we can observe what the issue is and see if we can get it fixed?
The ditch runs off the main part of the hill. I told Mr. Combs, and in fact, I think he went out and looked at it. All the holes running out the hillside in the slide, and the ditch is full. Instead of raining, it's just right here, turning around and down and washing it outside. There's some work that needs to be done.
Thank you for your feedback, Mr. Clover, and thank you for your work for the city.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us into our new business. We have the consideration of renewal of lease agreement with Murfreesboro Park District. I believe our attorney, Mr. Blake, has a few things he wants to share with the council regarding our agreement with the Park District.
The agreement that was entered with the Park District for the Youth and Rec Center actually expired April 30th, 2021. I know that speaking with Sandra, that Joe Fry had approached her about it, that the Park District would be willing to enter the same contract for another 5-year term under the same terms. Procedurally, the way this contract was entered, this lease was entered, it falls under provisions regarding intergovernmental cooperation. The Park District enacts an ordinance approving the Park District's entry into the lease, then it comes to the city. The city enacts a resolution authorizing it on the city's. That's the way it was done back then. Simple process to do. The Park District, if I'm correct, and this is what Sandra believed was correct, that they will have a meeting Thursday of next week, June 17th. So if that's what the council wants to do, I can coordinate with Joe Fry, an ordinance being passed on the Park District in approving a lease on the same terms. I don't know if council members want to go through the lease that we're kind of, at this point, they're holdovers under that lease. We're operating under the same terms. I don't know if the city council wants the opportunity to review that lease to make sure we do want to enter into the lease with those same terms, just extending it for another 5 years that would run retroactively from May 1st of 2021 for a 5-year period.
Ms. Hughes?
Would you refresh our memory, please, on how much money the city actually spends during a year on that, or how much? Give me some money.
Scott could probably give me a better idea. I believe the lease provides that if there's any repairs over $2,000, then they're split between the city and the Park District.
Okay, but we pay up to $2,000 in the ensuing year. Is that correct?
The $6,000 is the amount that we have budgeted for.
Yeah.
Which we are right at that now.
Yes.
So, I don't recall the specifics of each incident, but I know the 6,000 was capital in my mind.
I was thinking it was 6, and there was something with the 2,000, but I couldn't remember. It's been too long.
I believe by the terms, if repairs under $2,000 for the park, Clover Park District, if they're in excess of $2,000, then the city and the park district
Split that, but that's up to a maximum amount of 6,000.
That's correct.
Okay.
Excuse me, that's utilities. The city pays up to, the city will pay up to $6,000 in utilities a year.
Is that correct? I don't remember that. Yeah, okay.
I'd say we have more getting started that line this year than just the utilities. I'll look into that, but there could be some repairs in that line. I don't have the details of that.
Okay.
So that's what he's saying very well.
Sounds like we just need to have some research done and report back at our next meeting. It's not hurting us to continue to operate another 2 weeks under the current agreement.
I would agree, Mayor, we've been operating in this fashion since
April.
May 30th or March 31st. I do not believe it would be an issue to continue allowing them to proceed as holdovers.
Can we all have a copy of that again, do you think, Sandra? Yeah, I'd like to have that. I may have it at home, but
How many
chances
pages?
are I don't.
Is that a lengthy contract?
I think it's only a few pages, actually,
No, it's,
if I remember correctly. 7?
All right, yeah. I was just going to say, I didn't remember how long it was. I didn't know if we needed more of an executive summary just drafted, but just include the entire thing in the packets there.
Thank you, Sandra.
A question.
Mr. Gladden?
Bishop, are you aware of any weaknesses in the present agreement? Has anything come up that raised a question about the agreement?
I don't know anything, any issues that specifically came up.
Yeah.
We drafted the agreement, the park district had their attorney, outside attorney, I don't know if they have a regular attorney, look it over, and we fine-tuned the lease at the time that our office drafted the initial
Okay. Thank you.
form of the lease.
Thank you.
All right, Richard, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Up next, we have the consideration of renewal of intergovernmental agreement for traffic signal maintenance. Sandra, I think you're my expert on this item. You want to share with us about it, please?
This is an agreement that we've had for several years. It's just expired, or it will expire on June 30th. It calls for maintenance at each intersection, depending on a 50/50 split, 75/25.
And basically, the maintenance costs are split based upon where the state highway meets city streets. So if you have two city streets meeting Walnut Street on the north and south, it's a 50/50 split for the signal maintenance. In one instance, like on 11th Street, which is an unmarked state highway, it's 75/25 because you have 3 state highways meeting one city street. So that's how the split is done.
We don't have a choice of those numbers, correct?
I don't know. I don't know whether or not we have really any leverage to negotiate.
Yeah, I suspected we didn't, but if
Probably
we could
not.
get them to pay more, why not?
We could probably try, but by the time we got anything out of them, we would have spent enough money fighting the
You're
battle,
right.
it wouldn't be
You're
worth it.
absolutely correct.
This is Jackson County.
So is there a motion
I
to,
had one more question, sorry.
oh, sure, Mr. Urbis.
So it talks about actual cost, but then total is 10,000, so is it no more than 10,000, or is it more than that if it costs more than that?
No, I see what you're noting, and I don't believe you.
John, would you repeat it?
Yeah. So the last 2 items, it talks about compensation method, actual cost, and it says total amount 10,000. So I was just asking, is it no more than 10,000, or is it actual cost if it's more than 10,000? And I didn't read the whole thing, so
I can reach out to Scott Stokes tomorrow and ask him that question.
And we're not under any pressing deadline to approve this, Sandra?
When's it go? June 30th? Yeah, okay.
All right, so we've got time to ask that question, John. I appreciate you asking it. And
I I do say on page 11, it says, any proposed single expenditure in excess of 10,000 must be approved by the department before the expenditure is made, so maybe that's the,
Maybe that's their limit,
yeah.
without running it through their own council of sorts. Well, it's been the agreement we've been operating under for how many years, Sandra?
Apparently works.
Okay. Well, I mean, but this expires, it's a 10-year agreement, so we've been operating under this for the last 10 years?
If not more, yes.
Okay. Well, do we want to hold this then? Is that the sense that I'm getting from the council until we get that answer from Scott Stokes? John?
Yeah, if we can, I don't think there's a problem
Okay.
doing so.
We'll hold it over, and Sandra, if you can get an answer for us on that, a little extra clarification never hurts anything.
Do you have an idea?
All right, if there's nothing else on that item, is there any public comment on building and grounds? Hearing none, we'll come out of that and go into community relations chaired by John Urbis. John?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no old business. We have one item of new business, consideration of sponsorship to the barbecue championship. We have a brochure in our packet. That's really all I know about it. So if someone can enlighten us.
In the previous years, the city has provided, one year we had pies, small pies from Rule of Pie. Other years we put cookies in the bags for the various teams, and we have spent, Sandra, somewhere around $700 usually doing that. And I just put this in the council packet because I thought, last year we didn't spend anything on civic celebrations of any kind. And with, Mike Mills unfortunately passing away this last year, I didn't know if we wanted to do anything more than the addition to the bags that we've been doing in the past. It was just something that crossed my mind. So, Ms. Campos?
Why instead of doing bags of cookies, I know that is a stimulus for the local economy, but there is also work why we just don't give them the money.
I'm fine with that.
Sponsorship, because
Mr.
there was none last year, maybe go for a $2,500.
Mr. McComb?
Well, too, on top of what we buy for them, we don't charge them anything for our crews to put up the barricade or block the streets, or and Tim's crew hooks up the water for them,
That's true.
And we spend a lot of man hours up there that we don't bill them for, which we shouldn't. They bring a lot of people into town. But that's, I know we didn't do it last year. We didn't have the people in town. It's just whatever the council wants to do, but we do quite a bit for the barbecue.
I'm glad you reminded me of that.
Which we should. I mean,
No.
And we have auxiliary police come in for that also.
And hopefully we'll have a lot of them staying in our hotel now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That'll be a little extra revenue for us, but anyway,
Of course, we need to remember, though, that whole area is, you're more aware than I am, is going to be completely redone.
yes.
Yeah.
Walking paths and electrical hookups, and it's going to have new trees planted there, and it's going to be quite the showcase, more than it was, even before.
Can I ask who pays for the electrical there?
For the electrical...
You said there's electrical hookups there. Is that something metered to us, or is that...
I have always assumed that was metered to 17th Street.
Is that something? That's okay. That's what I just didn't know.
Yeah.
well, I have walked around up there and talked to a lot of the people because I help them with their cleanup. And they said that Murphysboro is one of the more outgoing towns that they've ever been in, because they appreciate everything they do and stuff. But what kind of money you got in mind of...
Well, I thought the silver sponsorship was what my suggestion was going to be.
I would make a motion that we would do the silver sponsorship if...
Okay. Mr. Bastian.
Yeah, I'm okay with the silver sponsor as well, but I still think we need to give them the welcome packet whether it not be huge or not. I think that's a nice gesture. And
I think we could do.
Cook-offs, and they do get welcome packets from the city. So I, for
Okay.
one, am in favor of it. but-
Okay, then let's do both. I'm lowering the price from 25 to 1,000.
Sandra, what do we usually spend on the cookies? It's not that much, is it?
I think it's around $700.
More than I thought.
Well, that would still be less than $2,000 that we're giving him if we did 1,000 silver and then had the welcome pack. So welcome packs maybe a little more this year.
Mr. Austin?
I'm curious. Silkworm has done in past a commemorative coin, and what we could consider is having the city logo on one side and Mike Mills on the other, and that could be something that could be added into the packet as a gift.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would be something that the council would want to consider, but it's relatively, it's a nice gift, and it's something to consider.
Would you mind inquiring with them about pricing on something like that? And
I
get
wouldn't
back
mind
with
that
them?
at all.
Okay.
Okay.
I think Mr. Evans had a question.
Scott?
Just a comment, if anybody's wondering where we're at in the budget on civic celebrations, we do have plenty of money allotted for those this year. We budgeted $14,000 for the whole year, and to the end of May, we spent $4,300, so we still have $10,000 unspent. I would say no, half the festival will take some of that, but certainly
4th of July?
the budget would support the idea of your policy.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
You want to do the silver and the cookies, or do you want to wait till Mike checks on his stuff?
Well, let's go ahead and motion for the silver sponsorship and the cookies, and then we'll get the pricing back on that. There's enough time, I think, that we could probably get those, and I could add those to an agenda.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I would second it.
All right, we have sorry, John, I'm stepping all over your
That's all
committee.
right. Any other discussion? All in favor so we're talking about the silver sponsorship?
Aye.
Opposed? No? That passes. Thank you. Any public comment?
John, I think Buffy would like to talk to the council about their property on Murphy Street. Would this be the proper time for her public comment?
That or safety, I don't know which.
Why don't we hold that till public safety, Gary, if you don't mind?
Okay.
We'll be right to it.
Otherwise, I think we can move out of community relations, Mayor.
Thank you. That takes us to public improvement, chaired by Mr. Mike Bastian. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. We have nothing listed under old business, and we have nothing listed under new business this evening. Do we have any public comment or any comment from the audience?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to know what is going on with the properties at the end of Murphy Street and Camel Walk. And then the signs on Murphy Street.
Or we're going to do that under public safety. Okay? Don't be sorry, it's okay.
All right. If there's no other public comment under public improvement, we'll go into, we all right, Mike?
Yeah, I just couldn't hear what she said. I didn't hear a thing she said, so.
She was wanting to ask about the Murphy Street issue, and we're going to get to that here in just a minute under
Oh,
public
okay, that's
safety.
fine. Thank you, Mayor.
Kind of do all that together in one discussion.
Yeah, we can move on to Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Bastian. That takes to Public Works, chaired by Mr. Gary McComb. Gary?
Okay, there's no old business. Under new business, a discussion regarding mowing. I guess this is right away in the center of,
yes,
from Big Muddy River to Watson Road. Do I have that right?
Yes, that's correct.
That's to the turn where you go back to the school. Have we, if we vote to do this, have we cleared it with the state? Or do we have to?
Well, all I know is that Carbondale hires a company to mow the middle median, and I don't know from where to where, but when I talk to IDOT about it, they say that they don't know anything about it. And Carbondale, all I know is Mayor Henry says, yeah, we pay somebody to mow the median. And so, does that answer your question?
Well, I know one time before, the guy that mowed the cemetery was asked about mowing that out there for no charge, you know. Darren got plenty of time to mow that. It probably don't take that long, does it, Darren?
Takes longer than you think.
We're not push mowing it.
Mowing it with a bush hog, it's going to take probably 3 hours to do that.
Yeah.
And that's something that we only do about once a month, mowing driveways. I want to be clear about that. It's not like we got time to go out and mow it in addition to the other 50, 60, 70, whatever.
I don't think it needs to look like a lawn, you know. I think once a month is perfectly acceptable for that.
I agree, once a month would be enough.
I mean, it's better than the twice a year that we get from the state, you know, so.
Well, I don't think the state would have a problem with it, but...
They don't know about it.
What they're going to do, have us arrested? You know.
Chief Ellemeyer?
Don't you think we should check?
Does anybody want to make a motion on that?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. The next one is discussion regarding the water line extension on Camel Bridge Road.
Okay, what is that? Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
I believe so.
So Camel Bridge Road is in our water district, but it's outside city limits. We service, the roads we service in the area, Mays Road, Frederick Lane, Shady Lane, and Polish Road. And
Tim, you might want to use that microphone.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So east of Frederick Lane, about 3,000 feet, there is a home that's been there for probably 10, 15 years. And the water meter sits on Frederick Lane. So they have a service line that's over 3,000 feet long. They're not the only one. There's some less than 3,000, but they're all in that same area. They're crossing local properties, farmers' fields. It's not a situation it was a situation that was allowed in the old days, but it's not favorable to EPA. So they've been asking for years that we try to figure out a way to make that right, but it's expensive. Recently, I was approached by a family and their grid to actually already in construction on a new house. There's 3 more to be built for the same family, and we're not going to be able to allow them to run these service lines at this distance because it is an EPA rule that's popped up over the years, and you no longer can allow it. So in talking with them, I talked with Billy Crondo, who's we call him kind of the mayor of that area. And he's went door to door and talked to all the neighbors, and they've all agreed up to 5 people that would be affected now, as well as the 4 houses that will be built in the coming years, sooner than road later, to a $2,000 tap fee, which would cover the majority of the materials on this project. It kind of has to be done. It needs to be done if we're going to get water service to these new houses, because we legally can't just let them run the lines. So I'm just here tonight to kind of give you that, kind of put that low in your ear and see what you guys want to do about it. I mean, the majority of the money's there, materials. There might be some engineering fees, but we'll do all the labor in-house. My crew will do it. We'll do it in our spare time, the best we can. And it would be right around 3,000 feet, 4-inch wide.
So you're saying the people that are on the existing lines that are too long would also pay the $2,000 tap fee?
Yeah, they agreed to, because they want their water.
Right.
There's one house out there that's go 3 or 4 different times.
And they're responsible for that maintenance on that side of the meter, right?
Yeah, because they have to get permission to go out and deal with, there might be crops out, they're digging a line, they're digging up their line, trying to make it better.
Tim, I am so sorry, but would you tell me where Camel Bridge Road is, where this is? You would think I would know this.
Go Gladys K and make a right.
Go to where?
Used to be Gladys K Chevrolet.
Yeah.
Make a right. That's Camel Bridge Road, goes all the way around.
Old Grandpa John's.
I know it.
Old Grandpa Grandpa John's years.
No, keep going, keep going.
Okay, all right. If you'd said the old Grandpa John's area, I'd know. Thanks.
Oh, what is across the?
Apparently, there's nothing there currently.
Barrel Auto, you remember those?
It's just where everything used to be.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it seems to me we'd be better off putting our own lines in than letting them do one and then cause issues.
We wouldn't even be legally allowed to make any more water taps for the purpose of running a service line that would cross multiple properties.
And then they would still be responsible for all the rerouting of their lines from the our line to the, the new lines that they would have to put in, correct?
Under this project, what we do is run the new water main, set new water services in the front yard.
And allow them to put the tap.
It would be there,
I mean,
What would be our total cost?
undetermined because PVC pipe is
high right now.
constant. There is a shortage of resin. If you're up on that or not, but it is a nationwide problem. The last bill, or actually, I had one billing a meter, was a quote, $8,700 per pipe.
Okay.
87 for what?
$8,750 for the pipe.
Okay.
We stand, we'll have $10,000 just from the 5 residences that exist. And at the end of the project, when all homes are built, we are going to pay back the fund of about $18,000.
Mr. Evans, do you have something?
Yeah, I have a question, that's Ken. So these are already our existing customers, Ken?
Correct.
So we wouldn't be gaining any new revenue other than what the capacity would be, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, there's 4 new houses going.
Oh,
No.
right, it wasn't our built yet, for the customers.
But the other ones are current customer of ours
Tap
anyway.
fees again.
Okay.
They'll continue to pay us. So the tap fees will just pay for the project.
And long-term costs, the only thing that it does is add some additional line that we'd be responsible for the maintenance of, right?
Yeah, and the PVC pipe, if we put it in
Right.
it should be fine.
Right.
But you read all their meters now, correct?
Yes.
You would only have 4 additional ones when they build the houses.
Right, and it's all in our own restriction.
Okay.
So is there just one meter now that they split it?
Each of the 5 houses has an individual meter. They all have individual service lines that cross multiple properties and thousands of people.
Tim, do we have any fire hydrants on that road?
We don't have to set a fire hydrant at the distance you would in town because it's rural. And it's on a 4-inch main, so on this project, we're probably looking at maybe 3, maybe 4.
Well, that'll make everybody's insurance cheaper out there too.
Yeah, we can try and set them in positions where it would be favorable to the owners.
Then how much does each fire hydrant cost us?
4-inch hydrant would be in the neighborhood of $1,500 to $1,800.
A piece?
I thought they were closer to 25 the last time.
It would depend on the size.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't know, we can make a motion until we see the costs on it, like the actual cost, right? But I would be for doing it if.
Well, with the way the pipe is now, I mean, with this quote I got was in the beginning of May, and that was on the 3rd, and it expired on the 17th of that same month. That's how short.
The supply is, yeah.
So if we do, I'll try to get a quote before the next meeting, that Tuesday, which that means that would be a good cost for the next 2 weeks.
Would we want to consider a motion that
To approve
didn't
the
exceed $10,000? Because we know we're getting that based upon the tap fees. And if the price hasn't raised that much, then maybe he could go ahead and secure a bid.
I mean, I'd be okay with that.
Somebody want to make a motion?
The pipe's 6 to 8 weeks out right now, if you will.
Okay. Montovich makes a motion and I second.
I can't make a motion, so
No,
I
we
just...
got it.
Yeah, I'll make that motion that we do it pending
okay.
the
All in favor?
No, because it's gonna pay for the thing.
Nays? Ayes have it.
Yeah, well, what was the motion?
The motion was that we approve it pending the costs are $10,000 or less for the materials. Correct? That's
Yes,
what we
to
wanted.
approve purchasing the materials as long as it doesn't exceed $10,000. If it does, then we need to bring a bid back to us for consideration at the next meeting.
Fair enough.
Does that include the hydrants too, or just the pipe?
It will not do the hydrant, but we have something else.
Okay?
Consideration of motor fuel resolution for oil and chip program.
Yep.
I think everybody's got it in their packet, don't they? Harold, do you want to comment on that?
This is based on the list that the council approved last meeting, that does include wastewater treatment plant road. We'll have to be bid, so total price is $51,000, our estimate, so resolution is $60,000,
And that's including the sewer plant?
No.
Yes, it is, he said.
Yeah. Well, does anybody want to make a motion to go through with this?
Move approval.
Resolution.
Got a motion down there, got a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Is there any public comment on Public Works? Hearing none, we move out.
Thank you, Mr. McCollum. That takes us to Public Safety, chaired by Russell Brown. In his absence, I'll handle these items. We don't have any old business. Under new business, we have discussion regarding sidewalks on South 4th Street. I wish Russell was here to help me with this, but I had Darren Mills go down and take a look at some sidewalks along 4th Street. I'm going to hold this item actually over to the next council agenda because I want to get with Darren and talk to him about this particular item, because I don't think that I've given him all the information he needed to make the right measurements and to get the right dollar amounts together. So I'm going to hold that till the next meeting. I know under public comment we have some folks here that wish to address the council regarding some issues on Murphy Street. I believe there's Ms. Bastian is here to address us on one of those items. We'll welcome that comment now.
Sorry y'all had to deal with this problem. According to this, we received notice from the city of, you guys, that we received a summons that we are to demolish our house or repair it. We're in the process of repairing it. My problem with this thing is the house behind it has had a blue tarp over that house for 3 years. There's trash all over. You pull up to our properties out there, we have cleaned it. On the outside, you can't see anything. The only reason that Ms. Zimmerman knows what the house looks like on the inside is because her and her friend went in without permission. At one time, they went through a window. It doesn't matter to anyone besides me who makes the payment on this house. We pay taxes on this property. It shouldn't matter to anybody what it looks like on the inside except for us. We're the ones that have to deal with the problem. My problem is, when people live there, we have renters that live there, and they have destroyed the property. I will give you that. We have to go in and redo everything. But while they live there, Ms. Zimmerman would call us, they've mowed a strip in her yard. They've touched her fence. I would try not to complain. I've tried to keep peace. I've tried to ignore all this stuff, because it is what it is. I don't like this road. But I received this, so in this, they contacted our bank, and our bank is now in the middle of this, because she feels that this property needs to be tore down. And in here it states that people have been in this property. My other problem with that is, we've never been notified. We called the police station when she says there's somebody in there. We drove down in the middle of the night when she says somebody's there. Nothing's happened. Nobody's in there. We put boards up. We put no trespassing signs up. We've done everything we can. It should be nobody's business what I'm doing with that property, as long as it looks nice on the outside and it's in order. Am I correct? My house is secure. I don't come in y'all's houses and determine what it is. We don't live there, but we are working on it. We have a dumpster there and we're taking out the trash. Yes, I can't control what the renters did that lived there. Believe me, if I could, I would do something about it. They trashed it. That's not the way I live. That's not the way that she lives. But on the other hand, when you go down to the property now, we're down there working, cleaning it out. I have pictures of the backyard of Ms. Zimmerman's yard. There's trash everywhere. in the backyard. How can somebody have the right to get in my business and tell me what I can do with the inside of my house? If somebody's breaking in there, so if somebody breaks in Mrs. Zimmerman's house, do I have the right to say, you go tear her house down? No, I don't. I can't stop somebody from breaking in there, but I would like to know if somebody has been in that property, because if there are, we need to be notified so we can press charges. So you tell me what grounds you guys have to do this on.
Do you think the neighbors around that home have had a good quality of life over the last year or two based upon your experience with the people that have been renting the home?
What do you mean? Nobody's been in the home for over a year and a half. I know the people that were there was not good. There was nothing I could do. And in the last year with COVID, there's not a damn thing we can do, even if they don't pay their rent.
So do you think the renters that were there and the people that were coming and going were having a negative impact on the people living around the home?
Was I notified? Yes. Was there anything I can do about it? No.
So you own a property and there's nothing you can do about what goes on inside?
I can't evict them because they're paying their rent. I can't evict them if they're not doing that at that time. The people that were living there that she was having problems with, there was nothing I could do about it.
So you don't have control of the inside of the property at all, and you can't...
I do now, yes, and we've been cleaning it out, but it's not to her standards and her time. If she wants to pay the bills, let her. I'm not asking her to make my house payment or pay my taxes, and I do. I have 11 other properties that we try to take care of.
Well, the home is a nuisance to the neighborhood and had become, and that's the reason why you've gotten a summons. And
a nuisance to whom? The one person. We've talked to everybody else.
I'd be happy to share my email inbox with you at any time and show you the volume of people who have contacted me about the problems emanating from that home. It's the only home in this city that I've been personally called to because there were issues there and the police were there.
Why were we not contacted?
So
we own the house. Why were we not contacted?
It is a problem, and I'm not really going to debate the issue with you anymore. The summons says what it says, and I'd expect that you're going to have to, fight that battle through an attorney or whatever you're going to have to do on that side.
I was hoping to avoid that, and I was hoping to not do that, because that's exactly what I didn't want to do. I don't want disruption, because there's nobody else that we have a problem with. None. And if I do fix the house and rent it out, there's always a problem. The balls get in the yard. They've mowed a strip in her yard, as opposed to, if they don't mow, she writes. So, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I can't go, I understand the people that were there were trouble. Believe me, I understand that. And we did everything we could to get them out. But according to the statutes in Jackson County, when you go and you do it, then the judge says, oh, they have this time, and they're in a welfare state. We understand that. We're going to make them homeless. Well, it's not my fault I'm making them homeless. It's the way they choose to live. We don't have rights as the landlords to do anything about it.
I would just encourage you to work through the court system to solve your problem.
I guess we're going to.
Is there other public comment on items of public safety?
Can I talk, sir?
You may. Can you share your name, please?
Yes, I'm Barbara Woodward, and I am the lady that lives in next to the house. The house has not had anybody to live in there for about 8 to 9 years. The trailer has been empty probably now close to 2 years in July or August. The reason I'm upset, and yes, my backyard was cleaned up this past weekend. The reason I am upset is because 2 years ago, there was people squatting in the house. They were making drugs from meth in the basement. One of the police officers told my son that they were down there, and said, do not go down there. That's what he told us. Why did we never notify? I tried to talk to you and Mom.
Ms. Zimmerman, would you just please address the council?
And then the trailer, the people that were in the trailer, they moved out, and she told me, and she's just passed away a few months ago, she said they had not paid rent in many months because her house was not was awful when they moved out. The windows are broke and they have mattresses over the windows because they have squatters in there at night because there's the flashlights. They have, these people in these two homes, the home and the trailer, have tore up my property. They tore up the fence, the wooden fence. We've got a metal fence up. It's very expensive to put another fence up. They tore up my screen windows. I've got 3 or 4 windows that are tore up. The back screen door. They rearranged the furniture on the patio. They used my garden as a midnight snack. They tore up the dryer bin that goes outside. They burned paper out there many times. They burned. And I mean, they're just, it's squatters that are now coming in there.
Ms. Zimmerman, I hate to interrupt you, but I think it might be important. Mr. Blake, can you share with us essentially at what step in the process we are with this particular property?
From our standpoint, we filed our complaint to authorize demolition of the building. As Ms. Bastian indicated, apparently they've been served. I knew they had. I don't know exactly what date. I know First State Bank of Camel Hill, who has mortgage against the property, has also been served with the summons. That summons provides a 30-day period for filing a responsive pleading with the court. So we wait until that time period elapses, see what is filed by each party, and proceed from there.
Thank you. All right, is there any other public comment under public safety?
I think we're going to put the parking signs up.
Mr. Mills, do you have anything that you could report regarding parking signs? Okay. I will have to follow up with you on that, Ms. Zimmerman. All right, we'll come out of public safety and go to personnel chaired by Ms. Barbara Hughes. Barb?
There's no old business. I think you're going to address some new business in the mayor's report with Eric's retirement. And I think we're going to have, just informational-wise, we were going to have a retirement down at the wastewater treatment plant sometime in the fall. I would like to get started on advertising for that so we can hire them soon enough, hire someone as a operator trainee soon enough to get them trained before the retirement.
Okay.
That's just informational.
And when did you say that retirement was likely to occur?
November?
November 6th.
6th, I think is what it is, yeah.
It has to be put out for bid.
And is that Mr. Hunziker?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said, all that is just informational.
And we need to bid that internally?
Yes.
No, we don't. They have their own contract.
Oh, that is right.
They do not bid up against Public Works anymore. They have their own contract. All we have to do is advertise it.
Okay, that's right. I'd forgotten that. Anything else, Barb?
And anyway, I don't think we need any motion. I just wanted you guys to be informed. Any public comment on personnel? We can get out of it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That takes us to the mayor's report. Under committee chair assignments this evening, I spoke with Mr. Urbis earlier, and I'm going to place him as the chair of Building and Grounds. He is on the building committee, the ad hoc committee that we've put together of sorts to study the idea of new city hall and police, fire, and et cetera. So I think it makes sense that he would be in that a particular spot. That will leave community relations open, and I would just, any of the members of the City Council who do not currently chair a committee who would be interested in that position are welcome to contact me and be able to do so. So I'll just leave that open for now, but we'll leave everyone else as they are. The other item here that I wanted to ask was that it doesn't happen very often, but each department head in the city, as long as I've been mayor, has been given the discretion to, I think, spend $1,500. And I don't know if that's just a number that I remember from previous council meetings. Does anybody else, Mike, Bastian, you've been on the council a while, or anybody remember that conversation, or any of the department heads that are here tonight?
That we gave them the authority to spend up to a certain amount.
Exactly.
Yes, we did do that.
Okay.
But I can't tell you the exact.
I can't tell you the
Seemed like
amount,
it.
but that's been done since I
We
was
did
on,
do
I
that.
think.
Mr. Blake?
I was just going to say, by ordinance, there is set a certain amount for each of the department heads, what they can spend without approval. I don't know what that is offhand,
Okay.
but it is set by
ordinance.
By ordinance.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I think you're right, it was, I'm pretty sure it's $1,200 or $1,500.
I think it was 1,500.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask is that as mayor, I would like to have the ability to, not obviously to any extreme, but to spend, say, $250 or $500, because from time to time, people will approach me, and they may have a fundraiser or something that, is coming up, and it seems like it's not enough that I ought to necessarily have to run it all through the council, but it's enough that I'd like to be able to give people commitments on it. And I don't want to have some, I was reading the other day, they were debating in Springfield, Illinois, whether the mayor should continue to have the authorization to spend $100,000 on his own discretion.
Please don't do that.
I'm not asking for that, and I couldn't believe that he had that much authority. But I would like to ask to have the ability to authorize $250 on, say,
Mayor,
10 times a year.
there is an ordinance.
But I don't think there's an ordinance
I would say,
regarding
do we need
my
to have an
position.
ordinance? Is there a requirement to have an
Oh,
ordinance
he's not
to
at
do
the,
that?
he's the department head of the,
Right. So,
Will, would you want that, or would you want a dollar amount you could spend on those organizations a year?
it probably would be better if it was just an amount, even just $1,000 or something, every year, that I could be able to have those interactions with people. And obviously I wouldn't want to, dedicate it all to one specific instance, but it's just something that has come up to me a few times over the years, and I wanted to bring it to the council for your thoughts.
Well, I don't know, council may want to know who you're giving it to,
Well, we'll see it
it'll
on the
be on
bills
the AP.
still, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be on the accounts payable anyway. We'd have to approve that.
So, but, there are some times whenever, I guess in a way, I have that authority, but because it's on the AP, but there are times, and that doesn't happen often, but there are times when people will come up to me and they'll say, we're having a trivia night fundraiser for the blah, blah, blah. We're having a 5K fundraiser for XYZ. Will the city commit to this? It's next week. Well, I don't have a city council meeting until 2 weeks from now. And so it just happens from time to time, and it leaves me feeling like, well, I would like to have some ceiling or a discussion about this so I can feel more comfortable about what I can and can't do in those.
We don't want it to turn into a memorial wall, right?
Well, I don't want it to either. And we don't have to act on it tonight, but that's the reason I put it on the agenda.
it's on the agenda, Mayor. We can vote on it. I would like to make the motion. Well, WJ would like to make the motion to give a spending discretion for $1,000, and I would like to second.
I think it would be best if we did it by ordinance. I know that the others are set.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Even better.
Well, if we have, then you're going to have a set amount, and you're going to not have to even get our approval for that.
Well, I got a lot of, and I don't mean to, bring up ancient history, but when I first got elected, people would say that sometimes former mayors would authorize some spending, and then they'd show, what is this? They'd say, well, that one's on me. And there would be this attention, and I just would like to know if there would be a ceiling of cents. So if we could get those other ordinances, or if you could get one to me, then we could maybe model something off of that.
Well, do we need a limit on what you can give each organization, or?
Probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor, I have a question. I'm not opposed to that, but I have a question. Did you say up to $250 a month?
No, I was just asking for some amount, whether it be $250 6 times a year, or Gary suggested $1,000 over the course of the entire year.
I was just curious because that's...
Right.
You may want to research, not the $100,000 one, but research some of the smaller towns and see if they, what kind of discretionary spending they have for their mayors. I mean, it may be easier for him to write an ordinance if we have some comparison. I mean, I'm not I am not at all opposed to giving you the discretion to spend $1,000 or $2,000 a year for that matter. I just think that we will be better protected as a city and you as a mayor if we have the ordinance.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
I think that's a good policy and a good suggestion from Richard. All right, well, we'll take a look at that and bring it back at an upcoming meeting. Lastly, we have the hiring of code enforcement officer, zoning administrator. You have in your packet a brief note, June 1st. It says, I, Eric Kennedy, code enforcement officer for the city of Murfreesboro, will be retiring on August the 6th. Now, his actual last day, Sandra, is looking to be when?
Yeah, I think that's what you told me.
June 24th.
He has vacation time to use from then until now.
Right.
From now until August, whatever, 6th.
This particular office is one that is appointed by the mayor with the consent of the city council. I think it's a very important office, and I think it's one we need to advertise and interview for, like any other position, and try to make sure we get a good fit there. So anyway, I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that, and
I don't know if this is the time to bring this up or not, but being as sheriff's personnel, I think that it may be something we need to think about in advertisement, to not only incorporate the code officer in that, but perhaps to have some form of what's the office that, what's the...
Public Works Director.
Public Works Director in that also. It may be worth debating.
Well, in our ordinance, the two particular positions are separate positions, the code enforcement or zoning administrator and the public works director, with their own job descriptions. So if we were going to...
It doesn't mean that we couldn't have new ordinance incorporated.
Well, absolutely. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that those were...
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have said that. I didn't know that myself, but I think that...
When you add a second job like that, you're going to have to pay accordingly too, you know?
Yes.
WJ just said if you add a second job like that, you'll have to pay accordingly. I didn't know if everybody...
Yeah, I understand that.
Well, the thing about it, if you're not dissatisfied with Tim and Darren, I don't know why we need a public works director and pay that extra money.
I agree.
Both of them do a good job, their crews do a good job.
Yes.
And that's a position that I don't agree with, because you're spending a lot of money for somebody to take over two guys that are doing a good job now. If they weren't doing a good job, I would like to see that. But at the time, I don't think we need a public works director.
I already got you.
Huh?
I said, I already got you. You're chair of public works now. So.
He works really cheaply, too.
Right. So.
Maybe that's what you're worried about.
We'll be taking a look at that, and with the June 24th being his last day, we're going to have to move fairly quickly here, so because it is an important key position. All right. Oh, goodness, what have I done with my agenda? I've shuffled it amongst my other papers. We'll go to council member requests. Go to Ms. Hughes.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Gladden?
Nothing.
Mr. McComb?
Yeah, I think we had a good cleanup. That's the busiest I've seen it in the last 4 or 5 years.
Good. Appreciate the work that all the guys do in helping to get that pulled off, and Gary, appreciate everything you do to make it happen, too. Clerk Hunziker?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Irvis?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Austin?
You had mentioned at the last meeting, Mayor, moving the next meeting to Chambers.
Yes.
Planning on doing that?
Yes, still planning on moving back to the council chambers. It'll definitely feel different being back there, but...
That's all I have, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bastian?
I have nothing, thank you.
Ms. Campos?
Nothing, but do you know how many tons of trash did we pull in Murfreesboro?
On cleanup day?
Uh-huh.
Gary, any idea how many tons we took in on cleanup day?
Do what?
How many dumpsters we filled up?
Well, on the first morning, we had 5 dumpsters in there, and they were gone by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I didn't keep track of everyone that come in and out, but they were running back and forth. And that company hauls theirs to Perry Ridge landfill. They were in today and got their last 2 or 3 dumpsters out there today. I'd say they could have been anywhere from 14 to 16, 17 dumpsters they hauled in and out.
Wow. Yeah, but I saw him leave.
I know they didn't make any money.
No. Don't say it. They don't want to know. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Pittman?
I just don't remember where we were at. If we could get an update on, I don't remember where we landed on the discussions and where we're with Charlie Rubel on all the water issues out there. Have we had any progress on that? Or
Mr. Sheffer, is there anything to report in regard to the railroad permit? I think that was the last thing that we had, where we'd left it.
We are working on the permit, just possibly get all the railroads, especially, and I'm not blaming COVID, but it's made it even worse. We did send out offers to the 3 property owners, and have not heard a thing from them. I tried to contact all 3 of them again, and not getting any response.
Okay. Well, continue to try.
That's all I have.
Thank you, WJ. I'll go to department head requests and announcements. Go to Mr. Attorney Blake. Ms. Ripley. Mr. Evans. Mr. Sheffer. Chief McBride. Chief Ellemeyer. Tim Lee. Brian Manwaring. Darren Mills. Pat Gladson. Ms. Volley.
Yes. We are up and running in the lobby now, and so I would just like to say thank you to the council for taking our safety concerns seriously, and thank you for the hard work of Terry and his crew for making that possible.
It looks nice.
It looks really nice.
It looks nice.
Yes, it does. Thank you for mentioning that, Catherine. Leander Bryan. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.